this is really the IPW that signals to the world we're back in business, and that's so important. And all of you to be here, I can't thank you enough. I know it's difficult, but boy, I'm so glad you're here, so thank you very much. Great to be under one roof. We met last in Las Vegas in September, and we heard the good news that U.S. will be opening its borders to international travel in November. It turned out to be November 8th. The interesting thing is that night, bookings from British Airways, British Holidays, Lufthansa, around the world were among the highest bookings they ever had in one day. So it talks about the pent-up demand. I wish I was here to make another announcement. That's not coming yet, but we're working on it. We're working hard on it, okay? But I think the timing couldn't be more perfect. And the energy on the show floor when that announcement was made was so high, but I don't think it duplicates the energy on the show floor today, you know, this week of having all of you here. So it's really a great opportunity, and you know, we've been locked down for a year and a half, and the chance to get together face-to-face is so critical, and I think that's important. So from November 8th onward, we're going to be welcoming back people. The numbers keep improving, but if we can get one more thing done, they're going to improve a lot more, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The last few years have been extremely difficult for every single one of us. But if you really look at it, we have a lot to be thankful for. We got our health, we got our ability to travel, and that's truly a gift. Now more than ever, we have to really engage across the borders to reestablish our ties to one another. I think travel is so important. As Mark Twain said over 100 years ago, travel is fatal to prejudice, bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. And in today's world, with all the challenge we have, more travel, more people getting together, I think is so important. Having you all here today is a huge step in the right direction. I'm very proud to give you the numbers. We've had more than 4,600 delegates are here at IPW. That's almost double what were in Las Vegas 8 months ago. 1,200 buyers, close to 1,200 buyers, and nearly 500 members from the media, which is phenomenal. A great media turnout, and as I said, you tell the story, you tell the world the story. So that's so important, and from 60 countries around the world. These are very big positive numbers that really demonstrate that the U.S. is back and people have such an interest in coming to the country. So I want to thank every one of you for the job that you do. You really tell the story, you really introduce areas of the country that people have never heard of before, and you really do a phenomenal job for us. And the business we do here is going to have a great impact on the Orlando economy. We estimate that each year IPW results in about over $4 to $5 billion in future bookings, and over 10% of it comes back to this community. So for Orlando, this is really a great opportunity. But we still have a way to go, and to get where we really should be. Domestic leisure in the U.S. is rebounded phenomenally. In fact, it's right now over 2019 levels. So domestic leisure is back. The holes in travel right now are international travel, business travel, meetings and events. We've got to work on that. And before we opened our borders overseas during the pandemic, international travel was down 80% below what it was in 2009. 80%. And when you talk about that, that's just unacceptable. We've improved. As of April, we're down about 43%. We still have a long way to go to bring back international travel. Our forecast shows that we still have a ways to go. I've got economists, as I said yesterday, saying it's going to be 2025. Even though that's what they tell me in my notes here, I don't believe that. I believe that travel, because it's such a coiled spring, is going to come back faster than anyone believes once we get a few hurdles out of the way and get some consistency around the world. And I think right now, our research folks say probably to 2025 to get back to where we were in the pandemic. As I say, I think it's going to come back much sooner. The upside is, you know, if we could do a few things like get rid of the pre-departure testing, we could gain 5.4 million visitors and $9 billion in spending by the end of 2022. And I was at the White House just last week with Tori and some folks from the airline, just telling them how important this is to get rid of these pre-departure testing, because so many countries are doing it except the U.S. And we're gaining on it, but we don't have an announcement yet today, but I hope we have one coming soon. When you really look at it, there's some changes in our source markets. If you look at 2019, the top markets we had for the U.S. were Canada, Mexico, United Kingdom, Japan, China, South Korea, Brazil, Germany, France, and India. Well, things are a little bit different now. The restrictions, both here and abroad, have really shaken up that top 10 list. We now see that China and Japan and South Korea have dropped out of the top 10 for the first time in years. The strict re-entry policies in Asian countries have made it very difficult for outbound travel to resume, and we hope they soon lift their travel restrictions. We're really eager to get back to visitors from all these markets. It's so important, every market, but if we looked at what was coming from Asia, there's a tremendous number of travelers, and we've got to get that back to be fully back. Now we've got a lot to do to normalize conditions and easy entry policies. As I said, the government is still holding on to this pre-departure requirement for all vaccinated air travelers. And this is really an unnecessary hurdle when you think about it. As I said earlier, many countries have eliminated this. If you go around UK, EU, Thailand, Canada, they've all eliminated it, and we have to follow very quickly. A recent survey that we commissioned vaccinated international travelers in France, Germany, UK, South Korea, Japan, and India found that pre-departure testing is a tremendous deterrent to travel. More than half of international travelers said this added uncertainty has caused them to cancel a trip or have a negative impact. 71% of adults that we surveyed said they prioritize traveling to destinations without cumbersome requirements. Travel is just like water. Water will seek the easiest way, and if someone makes it difficult, water will go another way. Same thing with travel. If we make it difficult for people, they'll find another way and other places to go. So that's why it's so important. Because we're really missing out on an opportunity to really rebuild the U.S. economy. And so we've got to get rid of this arcane pre-departure testing. When you look at it, so often we talk about the economy in terms of lodging and travel and cruise lines and attractions, but it's really much more than that. It's how deals get done, it's how business gets done, and all the things associated when someone makes a trip, and that's so important. So we're working diligently on getting this testing requirement lifted. Last month, more than 260 industry and business organizations, we sent a letter to the White House asking for urgent repeal of this pre-departure testing for vaccinated international travelers. We really have stronger immunity because vaccination levels, prior infections people have had, boosters and all that, and we've really enabled us in America and in so many of your countries to get back to normal activities. Children going back to school, people working, and as I say, normal activities. All this is happening without the mask requirement. People would like to wear masks, certainly very appropriate, but getting the mask requirement off the airlines is important, and again, helping with travel. And we continue to push pressure on our government. Another obstacle that we have to getting people to come here is the cumbersome time lag for the visa process. It's totally unacceptable as far as I'm concerned how long it's taking to get a visa. U.S. consulates around the world were closed. So they get this backlog of all these people that couldn't get their visa, and this is unprecedented. And it's a huge challenge. If we can't fix the visa process, it doesn't matter. We've got to fix the visa process and find ways, creative ways, of speeding up the process. Significant number of global visitors have to have a tourist visa. In 2019, 43% of all of our 79 million arrivals require a tourist visa. Many of our top markets are very high at this time. Let me give you a few numbers. If you look at Israel, 268 days. Argentina, 529 days. Mexico, 538 days. Colombia, 693 days. And more than 2 years, it's almost over 2 years for the Dominican Republic. So you think about that. If you're about to make a trip to the United States, you can't even make your arrangements for 2 years out. Are you really going to do that? No. So it's so important to pull this. In May, the average wait time before the State Department for the non-visa waiver program was 419 days. So average across the thing, 419 days, over a year. This is totally unacceptable. So we can't return travel, as I said, until this is resolved. U.S. Travel is working with the federal government on several policies to shorten the visa interview time and bring it back more quickly. We're talking about a pilot program for video conferencing. so they can do interviews for low-risk returning applicants. I keep saying that if you just take Brazil, where people have a 10-year visa, you know, if no problems have happened in 10 years, they're not going to cause any problems now. Why don't we just forward the process and get rid of this backlog? But we have to do something. We have to think creative. We got to think like a business. We can't just be acceptable how long it takes to get in line. It's very important. So now, what I'd like to do is reflect on one of our biggest wins, and I'm going to turn that over to our national chair, Christine Duffy. Christine's not only our national chair, but the president of Carnival Cruise Line. If there's one industry that's had challenges, ups and downs, sideways, whatever, it's the cruise line. Christine?